Hello, 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 and welcome to the Million Dollar Electrician Podcast, where we help home service pros like you supercharge your business and spark up those sales.
I'm Joseph Lucani, and together with my co-host Clay Newmeyer, we're here to share the secrets that have helped electricians sell over $1 million from a single service van.
Now it's time for sales. It's time for scale. It's time to become $1 million electrician. Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Million Dollar Electrician Podcast. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, my esteemed co-host, Jason. I just about called you Jason today. What's going on? Joseph, the sales bot,
right?
Lucani. But we're also joined by Billy with Empowered Electric. And Billy's going to tell us some great stuff about his journey and what's going on. We've got one hell of a story for you guys today, as this is definitely, Joe, I don't know if I could properly describe this, but maybe one of those mindset shifting podcasts where you guys just get so inspired to do something bigger than yourself. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for this, not to set the pressure too high. Joe, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing phenomenal. Other than you should tell me, Jason. Jason's doing well today, right?
Jason, how's Jason doing today?
Jason's doing, yeah. No, things are going really well. Strong cup of coffee, surrounded by friends, beautiful weather, love my life. Who can complain? Thanks be to God.
Awesome, man. And welcome, Billy. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you doing today?
Great, guys. I'm ready, man. It's been a good day so far. I got to run 2 calls this morning and then came back into the office to get ready for this, so it's been great.
Nice.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We actually are having Billy here on the show right after, Billy, you just won our win of the week and our silver level programming, which is an initiative we're really enjoying, which is just identifying where people are doing great things. And there's 2 reasons why we do this thing. One is because we're all so busy. Sometimes we just forget to take a breath and stop and focus on the good that's happening around us. Anyone else feel that? Like, does that happen to you, Joe, or you, Billy?
I mean, that's literally life. I mean, when you are goal focused, sometimes everything outside of the goal can blur. So that's why it's so important to have your priorities straight. Because if your priorities aren't right, you'll end up focusing on the wrong thing. And that's how people end up very, very unhappy, surrounded by piles of money, but have nothing beyond it.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure. I feel the same way. Like, I try to cut out 2 hours at nighttime from 5:30 to 7:30 for something I like to partake in. So I do that 6 nights a week. So I have to stop and take time for that every afternoon. Then on the weekends, I don't have kids or anything, so I'm just kind of like wide open to do whatever I want, and I love what I do. So I will literally, I'm goal driven, man. I'm ready to go.
I love it.
That's one of the things we really enjoyed about you, Billy. And even now, guys, if you're with us on YouTube, then you're seeing us. You could see Billy here. He's got this presence, this air of someone who's been in business a long time. Looks like you got the nice lunchroom behind you. Why don't you tell us a bit, Billy, about how long you've been in business, though, officially?
Okay, so it started April of last year. Somebody said, "Hey, man, why don't you start your own company? Are you tired of working for your family?" I was like, I see my family just doesn't, they're not interested in doing what I'm interested in doing. I said, that might be a possibility. Let's look at licensing and stuff like that. So it took like 6, 8 months, but made it happen. Early December 2024, got licensing approval December 17th, actually. We knew that we were going to get the license, right? So I had my life savings, literally, and I was able to get into the building. We got a couple transits on the road. I leveraged all my credit wisely with good counsel, and everything that you see here and all these 5 desks with triple monitors and all this stuff, this is like in the last 6 months. And if it wasn't for you guys helping us get our stuff together in the beginning and get our pricing right, none of this would have.
Wow. I really appreciate that, man. So 6 months. And this to me, like what I'm really hearing through everything you just said is faith.
Blind faith.
How do you take such a big leap? Weren't you worried about what could go wrong?
I mean, I could be worried about whether I want to walk out to the van right now and get my Red Bull because I have to cross across the parking lot. I'm going to get hit by a car. But that's no excuse to not go after something if I want it.
That always makes sense because I've always heard the concept of, well, what happens if this? What happens if a meteor comes and hits you? I mean, theoretically, anything's possible. So why are you living in fear compared to just going after the thing that would bring your family the best service, the best joy?
That's right. That's right. And so I knew, like, back in January when I saw this coming, I knew that I had to get into at least 3 social circles of networking business owners. I did. And I knew that I had to carve out between 2 and 3 hours every night from 9 to midnight for networking on social media and commenting and, reacting to people's things and building a social presence. And I did that. And now it's come to the point where it's like 3 transits and 3 technicians is not enough right now. It's not enough. We have way too much coming in. So what I actually did is overshot trying to get work. So we're trying to slow the work down a little bit because we're booked out like a week and a half already right now. It's actually I'm running the guys on too many calls. So we got to slow them down a little bit.
Mm.
Good to
You know what though?
recognize that.
At least we own it and we know it,
Yeah,
because sometimes a ball has to hit the ground before it could bounce,
that's
right?
right.
Like obviously, we've heard some people run as many as 7 to 11 calls a day, and that's not the right thing to do. So
No,
that's why we advocate for the 3 to 4 calls.
yeah, yeah.
So
We're
this
gonna
is
shoot
becoming
for
huge
right
already.
now. We're gonna shoot for 3. We're gonna give them like an
Okay.
8 to 12, 12 to 4 slot. They're probably gonna finish their 12 by 10:30, 11. Be able to run a short call and then go run the play at another call. So we're gonna shoot for
Mhm.
3 instead of 3 to 5 right now.
Like it.
Yeah, awesome, man. And so we're going into May 2025. Just from what you've seen this year, what are you projecting for revenue this year, Billy, with the team that you have and the growth that you're anticipating?
We stayed on the same path as we are right now, which we're not gonna. We would do between 8 and 1.1. So,
Wow.
but we're not gonna stay on that same path. I can already see we're gonna need more techs and more stuff. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I'd say probably gonna settle between 1 and 1.5.
And
You
that's
know,
remarkable. So even in this stage, and of course we've got wood to knock on. We could cross our fingers. You could believe in all the superstitions, but I just really want to highlight this because I think what people will get most from this episode is really again understanding this big F word and the faith and this leap of faith that you've taken.
Mhm.
Can you please explain to us before we dive deeper into understanding who Billy is and why he chose this way? When you look at someone who's just bootstrapping, thinking about just their van and only doing maybe the more, I'm going to wear all the hats at first and take the safe play, why didn't you choose that direction for yourself?
well, okay, so um, I'm pretty comfortable with letting everybody know because I'm an open book. Even our clients know I'm a recovered addict, and that's where empowered comes from. Because I was powerless, and now that I found a power that I can live by, now I'm empowered. And so that's the goal is to go out. I sponsor a lot of people in the fellowship that I take part in, and so to go out and empower people. And I just found this. I had this vision after some people. I surrounded myself with good people last April, and I still do. They were like, "Man, you got to go do this. Here, look at this vision you could have." And I started seeing it. Started growing, and I was like, I'm riding around in this '06 Econoline van with a ladder rack with a helper working for my dad. Going around running like a premium guy. Everybody loves Billy. And then all these people were like, "Man, go do this for yourself. Go do this for yourself. Go do this." So anyway, long story short, I've been in the pits of hell, active addiction, and I used to say I shouldn't even be alive right now, but obviously I should be because I'm here and I have a purpose now. And so with that purpose is really to go out and serve my community at the highest level that I possibly can. When somebody needs help, when I find out about another group of homeless people in the community, I can go say, "Hey, what do you guys need? I'm here for you." That's what that's what I like to stand for. So
Can I just add here, guys? I mentioned a win of the week that Billy won. It's unlike any other win. Like it was the most humble and interesting win post I've ever seen, because Billy started with these great sales milestones and feeling great
Mhm.
and team growth, and then at the bottom, oh yeah, and I got someone else who's in recovery a free home to live in.
Yeah.
It was like that was your oh yeah, but we were like, hang on,
Oh, by the
we kind of
way,
reviewed this as a team. We're like, did he mean that? Wait, what?
I didn't really think that you guys would see that like that, but yeah,
Mhm.
Christy and her husband Jason. I had another gentleman in recovery call me, and Donovan was like, "Hey, Billy, me and my wife, this is our starter pack. We had this single wide travel trailer in a RV park here in Eustis," and I was like, "Okay, great, yeah. What do you want to do with it?" They're like, "Well, we want to give it to somebody. We're buying our first house." So all they have to do is pay the lot rent, $200 a month. I was like, wow. Well, with all the homeless ministry people and the nonprofit people that we work with and are partnered with, we're going to be getting our own nonprofit soon. I was like, I know I can find somebody that needs this house. And then I started thinking about this girl from a couple weeks prior. A realtor that we work for called us and said, Billy, I know you're active in the recovery community and I know you know people. Who do you know that could help this girl find a cheap place to live, her kids and her husband? I said, let me think about it, Rick. And I thought about it for a few weeks, and then this house came out of nowhere. And it's like, God, what are you trying to show me right now? Okay, here's what I do with this. Hey, you guys want a house? It's
man,
crazy.
Massive.
it's just the gravity behind that is so amazing because you're right. There is a plan, there is a path, and we don't know what that path is. But seeing it, looking back, and being like, ah, that's why this happened. Isn't it the most amazing aha moment that happens?
It really is. It really is. And looking back in hindsight at everything, it's real easy to see why things happen most of the time. And so,
Mhm.
like, especially when it comes to making a big decision, it's always good to do a lot of deep-seated, um, I want to say, because like this is my intellect and this is my humility. So when I seek from here, I always come up with a better decision than when I seek from here. But when I can
Mhm.
use the two together, then it's an even better situation and outcome most of the time. As long as I put
Mm.
this before this, it's okay. But when they work together in sequence with each other, it's good. So whenever I go to make these big decisions in my life, I'm always getting these cylinders of fire together and I'm seeking wise counsel.
I love that. That's a great share, Billy. Thank you so much. You mentioned going through hell. How long would you say that you were in hell for?
I was in hell from 2007 until 2021. 2007, I got really bad into opiates after a few surgeries. I was a motocross racer. So I was getting into pain pills and things like that, alcohol, all kinds of stuff. And then they kind of cracked down in 2010 on all that stuff, and I had to start going to the streets or I was going to be sick. So I went to the streets, and then 2017, I gave it my best run. I gave it what I thought was my best run at the time to get sober. And I went on to this, I guess they would call it now smart recovery or something, I don't know, but the boxing and things like that. And it didn't work. As soon as I ran out of that, I was back to the streets again. Finally, 2021, I was sitting on my couch and I just was like, I woke up and I just had everything I needed in the kitchen in the drawer. I had everything I needed. And my dog was sitting in front of me on the couch with her back against the couch. And I have a yellow lab. She was looking up at me, and she just looked like the saddest dog I'd ever seen, looking at her dad just sitting there suffering. I don't have any kids, so I kinda looked at that like my child looking at me saying, "You need help. Please get help." I just broke down crying, and I called and told everybody that I had scheduled that day I wasn't coming in. I went to detox that day. And, Rebecca got sober the same day I did. We were both using together. So my girlfriend and I have the same sobriety date. She's 20 years older than me. So we've been together 8 years now, and her detox was a little worse than mine because of the age difference, I'm sure. But,
Mhm.
that living hell, I don't wanna go back to that. I even as uncomfortable as I get with this new business venture with you know,
Mhm.
50 to 60,000 a month in bills that have to get paid, including payroll and all that stuff. That stuff, the way it makes me feel uncomfortable, it's still more comfortable than my best day sobriety. I mean, in active
Wow.
addiction. That the feeling that I had in active addiction is the worst feeling in the world. It's like being in a
Mhm.
prison in my own mind, and the amount of pride that comes with it because I'm come from a pretty good family. Don't come from a lot, but had a good family name. And what is this guy doing? Look at him. He's just turned out to be horrible. So,
Mhm.
Thank you for the vulnerability and sharing that. Part of this
yeah,
episode, I got to admit, selfishly, is because I know that our industry and other trades like it
yep,
really do suffer with drug and alcohol abuse and addiction
Mhm.
and illnesses. And that's really, really hard. And it's taking a toll on an already dwindling trade.
yeah. I sponsor a lot of iron workers. Three of them.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you and I connected early on this. I've never said on the podcast, but I lost my best friend who I grew up with, who here's another connection we've never made on the podcast. But when I
Mhm.
showed Joseph a picture of Joey, his name was, Joseph
Mhm.
literally immediately said, he looks like me, which gives me
Mhm.
chills still when I talk about it to this day, and how the world works in mysterious ways. But just how you said, we lost Joey in the same way, which was his partner, who he was absolutely in love with, was a very well endowed small girl, and they ended up giving her opiates for her back, her back issues because of that endowment. And the two of them became addicted and both ended up on the streets to maintain their health, just to
Yep.
not be sick. And
Yeah.
it was just too much for him. He did not escape it.
It's so crazy how it works, man. Because once I put anything like that in my body, there's something that clicks in my brain that says it's okay to do it again. You can see you did it once, that was 3 weeks ago, and you were fine. And then all of a sudden, now I'm doing it every 2 weeks and 2 days. And then I'm doing it every week, and then I'm doing it every day, and then I'm right back in the hole again. So now
Mhm.
I know the only way for me to stay sober is to not put any of that stuff in my body. And if I feel uncomfortable about something, I probably need to go talk to somebody. I guess what you would call a sponsor. I don't like to call them that. Because in any of the 12-step literature in the original text, it doesn't say the word sponsor anywhere. It says it in
Mhm.
one place. It says a closed mouth understanding friend. So I like to go, I have several of those. I can, text Joe, text Clay. I can hit my buddy
Mhm.
Orlando up, my original sponsor, Mark. I got a bunch of people I can go to. Depends on what I need counsel on, right? If
Mhm.
I'm needing business counsel, I'm going to go to somebody that's really good at what they do. If I need something about sobriety, or if I need something about girlfriend, or if I need something about family, I got all these network of people that I could go to.
Mhm. It seems so wild because you said something that I feel really hit me to the core. And I don't know if it's just because I also experienced alcoholism, but you're right in that the moment you even try it again, it's so hard to resist it. It's almost the closest that I imagined was like, imagine you accidentally catch yourself. You ever fish at all? You fish at all?
No.
No? Okay. If you ever caught yourself with a fishing hook, you
Yep.
know what it's like to try and pull it out. And now you're holding this hook in your hand, and now suddenly you think it looks tasty. You just pulled it out. But when it's in your hand, you're like, this is actually, I'm not going to do it again. I'm fine. And you end up keep eating the hook
Yeah.
over and over and over. It's why I can't drink anymore. I don't
It's
drink
like
at all
touching,
for the same
a
reason.
hot stove. It's not going to burn me this time.
Not this time.
Yeah.
I was hoping to ask you a really vulnerable question if I could.
What you
If we
got,
haven't
man?
gone there, people are listening to this going like, are vulnerable? Are you serious? Aren't we there? And Billy, when we first were talking about your involvement with SLE and the program here, just to be in the community of other electricians and the reasons that people like to be here with us and us to be with them in their journeys, I asked you a really hard and important question. And I told you about my best friend, and I said, Billy, I just want to be sure for you, is there anything here that you feel, if the pressure mounted for you in your business and working with us, that would cause you to relapse?
Yeah,
I
I remember that.
expected I expected a delay.
No, there is nothing in me that I will never have to worry about relapse ever again. God has completely removed that obsession for drugs and alcohol from my life completely. Now, when I get uncomfortable, or when I get a resentment at something, or when I get a fear over whether it's created or whether it's a real fear, I have a way to process those feelings now. That's part of the gifts that come with sobriety. So ultimately, what's happened is I've been placed in a position of neutrality when it comes to drugs and alcohol. It doesn't bother me. I go up into the trap house and grab guys all the time, bring them back to the meeting if they want to come. I've been in the same room with people doing sharp, illicit things to put in their arms to do things to get not sick so that we can get them down to the hospital and get them into rehab. None of that stuff bothers me, man. I just, if that's what's going to help them get to Sunday morning to Monday when they can see the doctor at detox, and let's help this guy get what he needs. And tomorrow morning he's getting detox.
Mm.
Neutrality,
You know,
man. God has completely removed all that from me, without a doubt.
you know, I love that you're saying that. And I think if anyone would appreciate this reference, it'd be you. But when I learned how to apply faith into addiction, this is what the visual that I was taught. You hold up a finger, right? And you say, this is the thing that you're already addicted to. Your natural disposition is to lean towards it, and to pull away from it is hard. But once the faith or the key pivot moment happens, you're still the finger, it's just in the other direction. Now going back to the thing requires more effort than naturally turning away from it.
Yeah.
Like, do you have you saying you experienced that moment as well?
It doesn't require a lot of effort to stay sober. I just have to make sure that if I get upset at something throughout the day, I process that correctly. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what am I mad about and why? Well, I'm mad because this customer said that they were going to have something ready for us that day and then they didn't have it ready. Well, that's okay. I shouldn't have placed an expectation to have the customer moving all that furniture, but they said they were gonna because they didn't want us to move it or whatever. I'm just but I
Yeah.
really have to look at like what am I mad at? What aspect of my life is being affected? Is it my finances? Is it my personal relationships? My sexual relationships? My self-esteem? My ambitions? One of those five things is going to be getting affected at all times. And so when those five things are getting affected, I'm pretty burned up. I'm sore. I'm pissed. I can be bargaining, denial, anger, depression, bargaining, denial, anger, depression. I can toggle back and forth between them. But as soon as I accept what part was it that I played in that disaster that happened, this resentment that happened, or this thing that went sideways at the office or on a job site, what part did I play in that? Okay,
Mm.
there's a defect right there. That's a defect of character. Okay, so that's the defect, the intellect, right? Now, what's the asset? What's the opposite of that? So if it was that, there was some dishonesty or impatience or intolerance or any of that stuff, now I redirect and head the complete opposite direction, 180. I'm headed towards the asset, which is gonna take me in a new direction. Now I have to go clean up the mess that I made too.
Hmm. I love that. Rather
I
than
just
hiding, you choose to fix it.
I like to fix it too fast sometimes. When something goes sideways, I want to take care of it immediately.
We share that struggle.
My neuropaths have been burned in that way now, and so it's a good thing. Keeps me sober.
uh,
I don't blame you.
I gotta ask, and I've got to insert this here. You mentioned pulling guys out of the trap house, and when you said that, I actually got emotional a bit here for a reason. I was holding something back, and I'm got some own stuff to explore there. But if someone's listening to this right now, Billy, and I think you and Joe, you both know what I mean, and the trap house is in their head,
Hmm.
are you the person? Are you someone they can reach out to?
Dude, 1000%. And if you guys ever needed somebody to talk to, I was an IV drug user for 16 years, and I am willing to help anybody that ever needs help. That's why we try to do so much outreach with the homeless community here in town. They're all bleeding over from Orlando, and it's just really tough. And if anybody needs any help or needs to know somebody to talk to, I was the guy driving a Dodge Cummins diesel with a ladder in the back as an electrician for like 7 years, going to spend every bit of money I made every week, between 330 and 500 a day on what I needed from the trap house. And coming back at the end of the day, doing it all until midnight, waking up, saving a little bit, and then just going, what am I doing? I can't even afford to pay my $800 rent. And I'm making killer money. Like, I really need to reevaluate where my life is headed. And not only that, every time I put that stuff in my body, my girlfriend has to watch me because she wonders if I'm going to stop breathing. She's begged me for 2 years now to try to get sober. I I wasn't going to get sober until I was ready. You guys want to know something? I
Hmm.
knew that this and all of this and this was going to happen someday. I've been saying it for a long time. I just didn't know when, and I wasn't going to do it until I was ready. You can ask any of my family and friends. They knew all this was.
You sound like
You
the kind
know,
of guy that if you say something, it's going to happen. You're a manifester.
Yes. And if I don't know how to do it, I'm going to go find somebody that knows how to do it.
yeah. The thing that I feel is incredibly important in this moment isn't just you yourself, because you've talked about actually a resource that is incredibly helpful that maybe people aren't realizing. And that is the 5 people in your circle dictate your future, right? So you're talking about people encouraging you to get sober, people who are encouraging you and believing that you're going to get there. That's the right circle to have. But imagine if God didn't put the position that you had where suddenly your 5 people don't want to get sober. Would you have gotten out? Or would you have gotten the inspiration to do so? It's very, very hard
Yeah.
to be in that moment. So having your circle be in alignment with a positive direction. What would you say if someone doesn't have their circle right?
Well,
Because that's hard.
it doesn't take a circle because really, what made me get sober?
Mm-hmm.
Pain, the inner pain, the turmoil. It doesn't matter if you were on a island in Tahiti with an unlimited supply of illicit drugs that you were fueled by every day. When you decided you had enough of that, even though there's 1,000 pounds of it right there, I would have gotten sober anyway.
It's amazing. I mean, I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but it's also a situation where pain also fuels passion. And pain can also be a catalyst that one could submerge into to
Yeah,
create positive change. And it doesn't feel like it, but as someone covered in Sith tattoos, I acknowledge it. Pain fuels passion. Passion fuels power. Power
yeah,
fuels growth.
yeah, it does.
I'm hearing a lot, and I loved how you explained, the difference between you tied in the heart and the intellectual, and combining the two, firing on both cylinders. And I love how you're talking about labeling your emotions and owning them, and ownership and accountability really came through there. And in fact, I'm going to tie in your business name too. Then, do you consider this now a benefit to you to have gone through hell for 16 years?
If I wouldn't have went through all that hell, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Because the only thing that drives me today is serving. And the reason I like to serve is because those endorphins that are generated, servant, being a servant, the endorphins that are endured that I go through or gain the effect of whenever I'm at a customer's kitchen table. This happens all the time. I don't even know if I should say this here, but like when I'm at a customer's kitchen table, probably once a week, I can connect with somebody about addiction at their table, and they know somebody that has addiction issues in their family. And do you think that the work really matters whether I close that option presentation or not? Not really, because I just got to connect with them. You want to know what happens just about every time I make that connection? I don't care what I'm offering them. They're taking whatever it is. That's not why it happens. I don't intentionally go out and do that. But if I find somebody that I see in a certain neighborhood or a certain type of person And we just connect on that level, and they start asking me about my past, and I tell them about the name, whatever. It always happens, man, probably once a week. 3 weeks ago, I was telling a husband and wife, um, I don't remember what story it was I was telling with them, trying to just make a connection, really. And they told me they had just got back from church, and they said they loved the name. And then we started talking, and they both were crying, and I was crying. And the way that I felt when I left their house, I could never go out and use after that. I would never want to. That was the best feeling in the world. So to be able to see that happen over and over again, or when a technician says, "Hey, I'm struggling with something. I might need some help. Hey, what do you think about this?" I want to be that guy that people can trust and go, "Hey, if you need help with something, go see Billy. He can get you headed in the right direction. And if he can't, he probably knows somebody."
I think we got to call attention to this because in our own
Mhm.
team meeting, we do a biweekly project silos meeting and make sure everyone, break down the silos and everyone's
Mhm.
talking about the right things, asking the right questions, getting to know what's happening around us. And one of the things that came up was the question of magic moments. And in
Mm.
sales, there's a belief across some groups of people, let's say, where we'll
Mhm.
actually anchor pre what do we call this? Pre-articulated magic moments where
Yeah.
we're going to insert them strategically to cause an emotion. But that's not what I'm hearing here.
Mhm.
That's not what I think this is. Joe, can you speak to that a little bit
Yeah.
more?
Yeah,
So realistically, there are some individuals that use the concept of what's known as a magic moment, where the effect of connection of what Billy's saying in an organic and genuine situation, people have studied and have tried to scientifically replicate a synthetic emotion. And they're using certain lines which then can then create a sense of emotional connection, which is good to get the sale until it's realized that it's superficial.
yeah,
So personally, I don't believe in such things,
that'll cause bitterness.
simply just because the organic initial connection, if they're not buying because this is a real thing and we're really connecting, I don't want someone to like me because of who I'm not. I want them to love me for who I am. And I want them to buy from me because they respect what I'm doing, or at the very least, if they don't respect me, because they know that I'm going to do the right job.
That's right.
You share with that, Billy?
Yeah, yeah, like, it's, the feelings that get generated, they can't be. I don't even
Scripted.
I never even knew what offering options meant. Somebody asked me in October if I'd ever offered options before. It was like, actually, it was like mid-September. I was like, what do you mean offer options? I see options online, like stock trading. What are options?" And they were like, "Oh man, you gotta go check this out. You gotta go do this, like good, better, best, Band-Aid." And I'm like, "Okay." So I'm looking at all this stuff, and then now I'm going into people's houses and I'm offering these 4 options that I didn't know you guys yet. And so I was sitting down at people's table trying to make this connection with them, and I wasn't having these magic moments like you're talking, because I was there trying to offer these options that I didn't know anything about. I had no training on offering them or nothing. And I never had those moments. But now that I've gotten trained on the options, and now
Mm,
I don't worry about that. The whole reason I'm there is to make that connection at that table. And not only that though, like with our stuff, we have a membership. And with our membership, those people are actually getting a different phone number than any other client gets. And our doors at Empowered Electric are open anytime for people. There's 4 of us here in recovery. I just broke some anonymities, but there's 4 of us here in this office that are in recovery, and there's 150 behind Empowered in recovery. Howard is not going to fail.
wow.
I love that. When your why is bigger than everyone's why not, it's just an amazing transformation because, your shop being a central hub of health, emotional well being, recovery almost creates an energy nexus where it's a consistent pull and it's almost like a magnetic effect where once people know that the source and the healing and the intention to get better is there, it creates almost a vacuum towards it, where everyone who wants to be similar draws towards it, and everyone terrified of it runs away from it.
You
So you
got it.
are already purging your circles just by committing to your vision.
You got it. Man, it's so crazy how you just said that, because there's some people, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if I should even put that on the air, but there's some people that just can't stand me or empowered, right? Or anything that we're standing for. But that's because they can't stand themselves. And it's a very, very small number, right? And I love those people. I wish I could just sit down with them and talk with them and help them if they, just be their friend. But then there's like the other 99%, they're all just like, so this name that we have is already becoming like a staple name in our city. And I went out and spent good money on SEO, one-time fee. It's over, not paying them anymore. We're number one on Google in the area. So like empowered is, we're here to stay in this area. The phones are an issue now.
Sweet. And feel free to go ahead and give a shameless plug to the name of that person. I'm sure they would appreciate that, the
Yes.
business.
Oh my God. You guys have no clue. So my buddy, Johnny Z, maybe you'll see this. Johnny is in recovery with me too, and he's like, Billy, you gotta talk with these guys, Phil and Mike. I'm like, who are they? He's like, they could do your SEO. They built sales teams with me. I'm like, okay, well, let me call them. So I end up getting tied up with them, and they're talking to me. They did this Jesus movement, mission trips, and all this stuff. So they're super faith-based guys too, and we connected. They're like, listen, if we don't get you on the first page of Google in 6 months, we'll give you all your money back in $1,000. And I was like, well, I can't really beat that. We looked over their contract. It was like 5 pages. I was like, okay, let's sign it. Let's pay them. So we paid them. Within 3 days of the site launch, March 8th. I could go back and look at the audit, but within 3 days, we were number 3 on Google, electricians in Claremont. And so we just kept indexing for all kinds of things. They were showing us the audit all the time, and replacements was the number one index. So ScaleSuite.ai. Bill and Mike, you guys are the best, dude. I love you guys so much. They have like a chat with me and Casey and them two and Maya, and we're all in this chat together. And every time we get a good review, they're still handling all that. They're just like, man, you guys have gotten so many reviews already. I don't know how you're doing this, but just like we just ask every customer when we get done if they felt like we deserved a 1 or a 5. And when they say 5, we get them to leave us a review.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's good. When you talk about these moments, I know an episode is good when my cheeks hurt from smiling.
yeah, mine's
And
hurt
that's
right
just one of
now.
those moments. You know what I mean? Like I'm hearing you. I
Actually, a little
respect where
bit.
you're coming from. I love your mission. I love what you stand for, the people you're helping, the direction you're taking. It's really inspiring. And if this doesn't inspire someone, whoever you are listening to this right now, I know this is hitting you. Let it sit with you,
Yeah.
because I've been through it. He's been through it. And if we come out through the other side, even if we infect one life who's listening to this, I know it's going to be worthwhile.
And listen, if there's somebody that wants some help and you just go, hey man, I just think I like this guy, I think I could trust him, you can absolutely trust me. And you can reach out to me on Facebook. It's Billy Harper on Facebook. That's my personal page. And just inbox me your number. And I don't care if you're in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, Idaho,
Canada.
Canada. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I could
Love more
actually, anywhere
Canadians,
you're
brother.
at, man, I'm even willing to come help if you need help. I could get on a plane within probably 2 days of reaching out to me. I could come out there for a day and help you get into somewhere. Or if you felt comfortable, I could get somebody local to get to you also.
When you win, we all win, brother. And that goes to everyone listening to this. So please do follow us, tell a friend who needs to hear this episode, even if they're not an electrician and they just need someone else who understands the recovery journey. Billy could be a great resource, especially if they haven't been introduced to the trades. God knows we need more electricians in the world.
Yeah.
And in saying that, when you win, we all win. Today's win of the week, we've actually got another Bill Whiteman.
Bill
I
Whiteman.
love Bill Whiteman too. Bill's been part
Bill's
of the
awesome.
program for a while, started out bronze, upgraded to silver, and Bill just had a moment where, you know how we've said the only thing better than that connection that Billy's talking about here today and that you've talked about, Joe, and then making the platinum sale and knowing this is all for a reason here. This is my people. These are my people. My vibe attract my tribe, and they're now a member. Well, the only thing better than that is when you bring someone to your team and they're able to create that same effect for you and
100%.
expand on it. And that's what Billy's done. And his guy, Liam, just closed his first opportunity call with an 11.5K platinum.
That's great.
Isn't
Man,
that sweet?
that's
It
awesome.
really, really is.
Awesome.
There's
I was just
definitely
talking to
some.
Bill earlier about that. We were high fiving in class because, it's one of those moments where if you got an $11,000 sale or you get a platinum sale, it doesn't matter the ticket amount, but if you get a platinum sale, every one of us feels elated. But at the same time, if you're a business owner and you're the only one producing your sales, it almost can feel like a handcuff too. Because if you're the only one who can do it, you'll never be free. Bill's win was that his technician was able to produce it. Theoretically, he could have been off that day, and his team still would have generated forward moving momentum with a customer who loves them and is going to refer them. That's a business owner's dream, having a team so empowered. Hey.
Hey, I like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's the key, like it's real easy to jump in to SLE and go, everybody has to do all this and it has to be done right now. This is not
Mhm.
something that just happens overnight. And I know
Mhm.
that the faster it happens, the more that we take on the information that you gotta feed us, the better who we're gonna be. But I feel like SLE is not a 6-month commitment, by the way, Clay. Um, this is like something that has to stay committed to. That way, every time you get a new guy, you can throw him into the program, or you can get him to do ride-alongs with somebody that's an alumni, already been through a lot of stuff. And then we just have these recaps, like, hey, let's look at what we're doing here. Look at what we're doing here. We weren't tracking KPIs until we're not even yet. We're actually in the process of that. So trying to get right out of the gate. Guys, last year, I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. All I knew how to do was build a 200 amp service and install EV stations and stuff like that. Was not, this is, this is not like I'm an installer, but I'm a good electrician. And then, so for me to come in here and try to do all this stuff as a business owner now, it's really uncomfortable. It really, really is. So it's a lot to take on and try to change at one time. So every day when I wake up, I come in here and I just try to be the best version of Billy, growing and it's ever changing and taking on new information and changing the way something happens or SLE, what they've helped us with is helped us realize that there is a play, it has to be ran. We have to offer 6 options at every call, and if you can't figure out how to build 6 options, I could build 12 options at every call. I'm good at it, but I understand some people struggle with that. Then just call me. We'll go over why you only got 4 out of that, and then um, basically work done, wrap up, review, 5 stars. Pretty simple. The play once the play gets ran a little bit, it just becomes seamless. The guys are running the play and getting out there.
I love it.
J- can you just help me with something? This is live. We're auditing ourselves in this moment. Essentially, no one asked Billy to say these things. Every time we have a client interview, they tell us what's going on in a way that we haven't heard it before, honestly. And
Mhm.
it's always a compliment. We're always so blessed to have people like you, Billy, on the show, even though I don't think we've really had someone like you with this big of a mission to just serve not
Yeah.
Mhm.
just the people that we consider above us in their homes, but, and I don't even want to use the word below, but you treat everyone as an equal and share your story and just
Who am
let
I?
them all be part of this movement.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
can't throw rocks, man. I live in a glass house and all the windows are busted out. So I can't throw rocks, man. I don't care who you are, what color you are. If you sound like you're from Philly or if you sound like you're from Alabama, it doesn't bother me.
Canada.
I just love everybody. Ultimately, I would like to see empowered with a 40 to 60,000 square foot building with multiple trades, and would like to have the engagement center where it's a learning resource center, a homeless resource where they can come in and do looking for jobs, food pantry, have an apprenticeship program. After 3 months in the treatment program, they can level up and do an apprenticeship program. So that's a big vision. It's a really big vision, and I don't know how long it'll take to get that, but we're trying to the best we can, to get there. And I have good people around, so
I certainly believe you, and I hope that you'll include us in that. I hope that there's a way that we'll be able to contribute to that cause as well, because it's something
I
that we
mean,
can all get behind here and be a part of. I have a couple of hot burner questions, like that stove we were talking about earlier, if we
mhm.
can. And then I want to open the floor for you, Billy, to share anything else that's on your mind or support for others that's gone above and beyond what we maybe have talked about so far.
okay.
When it comes to this business, right now, what's the most challenging thing for you that's causing you to need to do some of the exercises you shared today?
I think it's just going from being an installer to being an operations manager. I've always worked for my family's electrical company, which was my dad and my brother. Me. My mom helped on the back end a little bit. And so for me to go in and go, I used to operate out of a bedroom at the house with my parents' house. Now I go to having this building and multiple new transits on the road and 6 employees and massive amount of bills that have to get paid because you guys know what it costs. Five
Mhm.
technicians, payrolls, and a building and the transits. It's 60 grand a month. So that's
Mhm.
before we even make any money, you know?
Hmm.
So it's very expensive and it's uncomfortable, but we've far exceeded that number every month since we launched. We're on track. Yeah, we're tracking good right this month. Last month we already tracked it. We had a great month of it.
Good, good. What are you most proud of with your team right now and how they're representing Empowered Electric?
The way they treat people.
That's a great answer, but is there any like specific thing about how they're treating them that you feel?
I don't know. I think I just got really I don't know you would call it lucky, but I have some guys that care about people like I care. So for them to have, the people call in and say that was the nicest man I've ever met in my life that came to my house today, that kind of stuff means a lot. Like for me to have those responses from people, like I went to a customer's house, they did some under the cabinet lighting, and one of the wires fell down right where it came through the cabinet from the transformer, and one of the wires fell down. So I went back by there. That lady and her husband, they could not stop telling me, "Thank you so much. Your team was the best we've ever seen." And he's in a general contracting company.
Mm.
That
Wow.
kind of stuff, like, that sets us apart, and I wanna
Mhm.
continue to be the company that stands out. There's nobody in our area doing what we do. We have the MS company and the FG's companies and the big companies I'm not gonna say on YouTube, but they're terrible. They're like $1,000 an hour, and they're going and I just got an $8,000 panel replacement, inside outside panel replacement, where they gave somebody an $86,000 price and told the lady and the guy they needed to get their house rewired. The house is 12 years old. That kind of
You
stuff
see,
just irritates me, man. Like, there's so much crap going through this industry with the private equity companies, and it's really
mhm.
kind of making me rethink where I want this business to head in 5 years from where I thought I was going to want it to head a few years ago. But
You struck a chord there. You struck
yeah,
a chord there, and I'm sure almost every single person listening to it is also shaking and scowling at the same time because
yeah,
it's such a tangible emotion.
they
You
showed
know,
me the options too.
yeah. Especially, and the thing is also it's why do we make options? Like even the focus of the why we do what we do is very important.
Yeah.
People can offer options with the intention of getting bigger sales, and that's fine. But when that's the only thing, and your only focus is getting more money, that's
Yeah.
where it falls apart. There
Terrible.
has to also be a level of humanity where you're like, I just don't want to spend their money for them. If there was a justification for an $86,000 rewire, there should be every option in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if you really do, I got to be able to put my head on my pillow and say, this is justified. Because if it's not, that's on my soul.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's going to come back.
Yeah. So
I
like,
would make a bet. Sorry, I was just going to say, I would make a bet because we have an episode coming up, guys, in the near few weeks. We're going through the circuit analyzer and the impact it's had on sales in our communities. And I would bet you it has something to do with that device.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, Billy?
I was just gonna say, they got a membership, permitting, everything, $8,100. It's gonna take 6 hours, and they're gonna be on their way. And they are just like, I'm so glad we called you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it doesn't matter what the cost of what their work was, though. But to know that they were so grateful that they ran across Empower. The only way they found us was from Google. So
We need to call attention to something here. Quick
Mm-hmm.
timeout, because the
Yeah.
fact that they thanked you after a presentation like this is actually a
Mm-hmm.
pause moment for all of our listeners, no matter
Mm-hmm.
who you represent or what your intentions are. Because the idea behind options, as Joe said, is to be just that, more choices, not less. And even if they provided options and then thanked you for yours after, they were feeling that big P word, pressured.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Someone was trying to talk them into something. And in my experience, those are the worst sales, anyways, guys. So if you're hearing this and this is standing out as part of this episode, when you talk someone into something, that's actually your most likely person to cancel or have buyer's remorse, anyways.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Best is to let them lead through the choice.
I'm so glad that I went over there Sunday. This guy called Saturday morning frantic, and the call came through the call flow. I grabbed it before the AI assistant grabbed it because I'm in front of her on the call flow. I'm glad I answered that call because he said, "Can you come out today?" And I was like, "Well, I have an engagement this afternoon, but I can probably come out in the morning." Sunday morning, I had to go out there, and I went out there and spent like 2.5 hours with this guy. He was just so glad that I was willing to come spend some time with him on a Sunday. And then he had multiple questions for me later that night. And then he had questions for me Monday. And he paid his deposit Monday night at 11 o'clock. And Tuesday we were already calling to try to get disconnect for the power. And that guy, he sees how we stand out.
Authenticity almost has a scent to it. Same as bullshit. Where if you know that someone is doing things for the right reasons, like even Bob Marley said it, you can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. If you're not honorable, somewhere it will come out. So the fact that you're above board because of an ethical boundary is the thing that's actually going to make you more money than someone who's chasing the money in the first place. It's such an insane concept.
My mentor said to me, desperation is a stinky cologne. Don't wear it. Billy, I
There
wanted to
we go.
ask you, how do you train your people to care so much?
Offer benefits, 401k, health, and pay them really well. That's the first thing. But then when you find the right person or see the right person, God will let you know that's the right person.
I mean,
Interesting. So you're mentioning the right person. That kind of means, I think what I'm reading into there is it's not necessarily that you train people to care, you hire caring people.
Hire caring people. You can't
bingo.
train people to care.
You teach skill, but you can't teach character.
That's right.
Wonderful. Billy, we're near the end here, brother. I want to give you an opportunity to share anything you want to help other electricians or other people in recovery, whatever you think needs to be said that you're being called to say in this moment, here's your stage, brother. Is there anything else you want to share on this call?
The constant thought of others and how we may better meet their needs. That's a really big thing that I think about all the time. What does that mean? Does it mean that we're standing behind our craftsmanship in a different way? Does it mean that we're offering healthier options? Does it mean that the girls are getting more questions answered by me throughout the day? If they have more questions, being more available for them? Does it mean if the techs have more questions that they can call me? But for the most part, everybody knows we're starting to settle in a little bit, but we're only 3 weeks with girls in the office. But everybody's kind of starting to figure it out on your own, guys. You know the play. Just run it. You don't have to call me for everything anymore. Now Billy's gonna be able to go out and run some options and some plays himself. So
Great share.
that's a big statement, though. The constant thought of others, and how we may better meet their needs. How can I serve at the highest level? Like if God was here right now, how would He serve my client? That's
Wow.
exactly how I look at it. So if God was to just say, "Hey, Billy, I think you're falling short in your service a little bit. I want you to do me a favor. Go sit over there and just have an out of body experience. I'm going to come take over your body and I'm going to operate in your life for a couple months, whatever. And I'm going to show you how to do this." And I could just sit back and watch. That's how I try to think. Like, how would God handle this situation? What would He be in this moment right now? And that really helps a lot with all kinds of scenarios, not just with business, but with life. Sometimes I just want to rip somebody's head off, right? But I don't have that in me. I'm not a rageful guy. I have a lot of patience, but yeah, seeking direction and guidance is a big thing for me.
Literally transcendent. And I don't know about you, Joe, but it feels like a mic drop moment and a great way to end an awesome interview. Billy, we can't thank you enough for saying great things about us, for other things that have worked for you, but especially for helping others on your journey to just serve.
No, you guys really
As
have a ministry, whether you know it or not. You guys are actually doing your own ministry. I don't know if you've ever looked at it that way, but you guys are helping a lot of people, whether you know it or not. And so for us to work together and have the empowered in SLE and the empowered network, that means a lot to us. And thank you guys for everything that you do for our team too.
Well,
it's mutual.
it's amazing. Honestly, I'm almost humbled in this situation because I wanted to give you the compliment and you left me speechless. It's
I
like,
learned
what do
from
we
the
do in that
best.
moment?
I learned from the best.
Namaskaram. Oh, thank you.
All right, guys, I'm going to close this out. If you were into this vulnerable episode, I've got great news for you. There's another one to follow, and this was recorded. So wherever you heard this, please leave us a review. Leave some kind words for Billy. Reach out to Billy Harper on Facebook if you want to explore Empowered Electric or the empowerment journey in any way that he could help you. But we've also got another vulnerable episode coming up next week. While Joe's on holidays, we're going to introduce you guys to Jacob Dombeck, our recent coach who's joined us, still running his own company on the side. And Jacob's a hell of a guy with a hell of a vulnerable story too. And I just can't wait for this. We're so blessed. It's been such a journey. Thank you again, Billy. And we're just happy to have all of you guys and see you grow with us, for yourselves, and for everyone around you.
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
It's truly our pleasure. May your roads be smooth and may you all be blessed.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Million Dollar Electrician Podcast.
We hope you're buzzing with new ideas that charged up to take your business to the next level.
So don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the show with fellow electricians. Together, we'll keep the current flowing.